We will now take a look at how we can format our selection screens. And this will help us make our selection screens look a lot more attractive and intuitive to the user. You already know how to make parameters and select options appear on the screen, but you haven't included any specific layout options. Yes, you have seen the objects on the screen, but the system has determined where it places them all itself. And this type of layout, more often than not, is not sufficient. For example, when you group a group of radio buttons together, you should group these and separate them from other input fields so the user can identify them as a group. So how do we do this? Well, pretty simple. We start to look at using the selection screen statement. Now this statement has its own formatting options that you can use to define the layout for your selection screens. It allows you to define the layout of parameters and selection criteria and display comments and underlines on the selection screen. Now the selection screen statement needs to have additions with it that specify the specific type of layout option you are defining. So let's take a look at our code, and we will go through some examples to show how it all works. So the first thing we're going to do is locate the place in our program where we start to specify the screen layout. And this is here where we have the parameter statement. Now the selection screen statement is a very simple syntax. It is just selection screen. Can't be much easier than that. But then we have additions. So the first thing we're going to look at is blank lines. So if we want to insert a blank line between parameters and things like that, we would use the skip addition. And what we do is actually specify the number of lines we want to skip. And that's represented here with these square brackets. Now the simplest form is actually to leave the number of lines out, and just by using skip, that will mean we just want to skip one line. Now before I run the program, I'm going to move this selection screen line because this would place a blank line at the top of our report and it'll be a little hard to see. So I'm going to move this and I'm just going to place it right here, which means I'm breaking the change statement for parameters. There we go. So I'll save, do a check, and then execute the report. So you can see here we have the employee number parameter, then we have a blank line where we've skipped one line, and then we get the checkbox and radio buttons. So it's pretty simple. You just place it where you want it to appear between the individual fields that you're outputting on the screen. Now if we wanted to skip 2 lines, we add the number 2. And as you can see in the test, we now have 2 lines. Now the next addition I want to show you is how we add a vertical line to the screen. So I'm just going to copy the selection screen statement and just add another one. But this time, instead of skip 2, I'm going to add uline. Do a save. As you can guess, uline means underline. Check, activate, and execute. And there you can see we have added a horizontal line. Very simple stuff. There are some additions we can add to the underline, and these are quite easy to understand. we have a position and a length addition. So on the example we've got, I will show you first of all, we can add a slash, which actually gives us a brand new line. Then we can add the position, let's say position 1, which is the first character on the screen, and then we can give it a length, let's say just 8 characters long. We'll give it a check, then activate, and then give it a test. And there you can see, just 8 characters long. If we wanted to move it into the middle of the screen, all we would do is change the initial position. So let's say we want to move it 40 characters along. Let's activate and test. And there you can see.